Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, my name is FiddlinJonny and this is my fiddle channel and magic product review. Before I do any magic product review, of course I do a fiddle tune, but damn, are you going to want to stick around for this today? It's going to be a fascinating one. Let's do the fiddle tune first. Alright, there we go. Alright, we are reviewing Ocean by Colin McLeod, and it's released through Card Shark. Man, this was a rough one. You'll see other reviews out there. I haven't watched them. I don't know exactly what they're saying. I've seen some clickbait type of headlines. I have a strong opinion about this one. I want you all to stick around and we'll get right into it. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Alright, this is going to be a controversial review today. I know that there's another, I think it's Unbiased Magic Reviews has feels a little clickbaity to me on the thumbnail, like, you know, customer warning or something of that nature. I haven't watched it. I do not want to be influenced by anybody else on reviews, so I always just do this totally on my own. Let me add, I have a rule on this channel too, is that I don't want to do a review for you unless I have performed it in the wild, in the real world, taking it outside of the house to do so. I have done so, and so I have some real world experience, like what does this feel like in the wild, okay? And I also performed it virtually. I had, a couple days ago, a virtual show with about 50 people, in a large group meeting type of a thing. So I performed it online for a group of people. I'm not sure performing it online is the best way to do it, but I wanted to get more real hands-on experience with this in the real world so I could speak honestly to you about it. Stick all the way to the end because you want to get like what's the stuff that I think you really need to know. So, alright, so this is Ocean by Colin McLeod, and it's released through Card Shark. And it's called Ocean, which is an acronym, and it stands for Only Card Exactly at Number. And I think that's a good description of Only Card Exactly at Number because of the effect. So it has taken the ACAN, any card at any number effect, and has added additional sort of, I don't know if phases is really the right word, but the kickers here in essence. And here's how it will feel to a spectator. Spectator will feel like they have freely chosen a card. Another spectator will freely choose any number between 1 and 52. And they really can pick any number from 1 to 52. They'll deal down the cards. Let's say it's the 10th position. So they could deal down 10 cards. And then once they get to the 10th position, let me do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So once you get to the 10th position, you're able to take that 10th card and show that right behind the 10th card it says you'll say 10. So that's sort of the very first kicker. You'll take this as the card in the 10th position, you'll set it on the table, and you will freely point out to them, let me take this out of here, that it is the only card in the entire deck that has something freely chosen on the back of it. And then at that point, I'm going to set these down on the table and I'll ask again what was their card. In this case it was the 7 of Hearts, and people will think that the effect is done at that point, but wait, there's an additional kicker. At this point, for the very first time, you will now reveal that all the cards are indeed blank and that there was only one printed card in the entire deck, and they happen to pick the only printed card in the deck. That's the effect there, and a damn good one if you ask me. I can tell you in one of my performances with a person and you're talking afterwards about like, hey, what'd you think of it? And this is a great example of how people misremember things, and that in their memory of it, they said like, well, you showed me those cards in the beginning and they were all printed on, and then at the end they were all empty. Well, that never happened because I never showed them the face of the cards, but in their memory, in terms of how they recalled it as if every card was printed. So one of those little fun things that I'm not sure will happen every time, but happened for me when I was chatting with the person afterwards. So All right, let's talk about, first of all, what are you going to get? So you're going to get, in this box, you're going to get the deck of cards. There are Phoenix brand, the super thin cards that they produce. You're going to get 104 cards in this box here, which sort of probably reveals or tips a little bit to you like what the method is or might be or must employ in order to do it. You're going to get a video tutorial. The video tutorial is hosted on the Card Shark webpage. They were not downloadable. There's a total of 8 videos to watch. 2 of those videos are tutorials. Then you get 5 live performance videos. And then you're also going to get 1 more video that is on the Phoenix deck and how it's a one-way forcing deck in essence. The main tutorial is done by Colin McLeod, the creator. If you don't know Colin McLeod, just a great performer, performs with Shin Lim in a show in Vegas on the Strip. And it's a really great show. Colin is extremely talented as a performer. And so he gives his tutorial. His tutorial is 32 minutes in length. I found his tutorial really good. He's a good teacher, and the quality of the video is really good. In addition to that, you get a special bonus guest appearance interview from Peter Turner, one of the world's leading mentalists, and his section is 40 minutes in length. Now, in my opinion, when he brought on Pete Turner, that really added some real value to this release. Pete Turner will focus on forcing a card, which of course now tips some method, is that it is only 1 card and it must be forced. And so Pete Turner will go through different processes of how to force a card, which is different from the initial one in which Colin McLeod teaches, which is probably the easiest. And then Pete Turner sort of gets more progressively advanced, but really good, and really feels like your spectator could have chosen any card. So I thought that was good, and I really appreciate it. In fact, I found that some of the stuff on there, which I've seen Pete Turner teach before, but I will probably incorporate some of those methods for forcing for other card tricks. All right, so you're getting basically 72 minutes of real tutorial, and then the rest are all these different live performances. I appreciate that one of the live performances is actually on a stage in front of an audience of like several hundred people at least, or maybe 500, a lot of people. All right, let's talk about the instructions. I've already touched on that a little bit. Felt like the instructions were good from really good teachers. Despite that there might be some controversy about this release, that portion is really good. And I felt like the Pete Turner part was particularly good. I liked that he had so many live performances on there. And in the live performances, this is important because you will need, since there's forcing, maybe you'll use an equivoque. If you use the equivoque that is used by Colin McLeod, those live performances go through every scenario that could possibly happen, which I think is important because people who may be relatively new to equivoque methods, I think Colin McLeod has taken sort of a number of folks, which he gives credit to, and talks about the ways to force them and goes through every scenario. So those are good, and it's good to see them and see them not only talked about in the tutorial, but then applied and seen in a live performance. Let's talk about the gimmick itself. So when I mean gimmick, we're talking about the cards. Yes, the cards are gimmicked. The quality of the gimmick is good. These are cards. They will only last as long as cards last, depending on how much you handle them. So they'll last as long as how heavy you are on the use of them. The technology that is used from a gimmick perspective, very good. I liked it and felt it was a good high quality. The downside is that they're Phoenix cards. I'm just not a fan of the Phoenix cards. I prefer Rider redback cards from Bicycle, and so for some, I know some people love the Phoenix cards. I'm not a big fan, so it's a down for me on that because I would not typically be performing with a deck of Phoenix cards. But at the end of the day, they work exactly as advertised, and I felt like the quality is really good. You will need to do an initial setup. That initial setup where you have to write on the back of the card, that's going to take you about, they say on the tutorial, 10 minutes. It might take you closer to 15 minutes, but not a lot of time and easy to do. All right, so I know people will talk about ad copy and that they have an issue with the ad copy here. I would say that sometimes ad copy does not give you everything because it tips method. I feel like that is part of the issue here. And what I mean by ad copy in this, that I know that some people have taken issue with the fact that it gives the appearance in the teaser for it and in the ad copy that you can pick any number. The truth is, you can pick any card. No, you cannot pick any card. It is a forced card that is taught in the tutorial. I don't have any issue with that. It will feel like to your spectator, if you're a good performer using the methods involved, that it'll feel like any card could have been chosen for them. So for me, that sort of negates the ad copy where people might not be happy with that portion. So that's my opinion there. But if you're hell-bent on that and you don't like it because the ad copy gave a different impression, I get it. We want complete bluntness, I think, sometimes, but they're not going to tip method. Let's talk about what the skill level is, and then I'm going to get into what I really sort of see as what the problem is with this release. It is a beginner level. You'll be able to start performing this after you do your initial setup, and I believe even if this is your first card trick, you'll probably be pretty good at it as your first purchase ever, quite frankly. It does not require a lot of practice. You can choose which way you want to force the card. If you already have a way you like to force cards, you can use that in this one as you go through it. I often think about what are the pros and cons or things I wish I had known before purchasing this product. I don't know that I mentioned this, but it's essentially the same effect as Craig Petty's Quantum deck, except in this one it has the kicker, like it has printed on the card, like I knew you would pick this position on the card, and the method is different. I actually felt like this one was a little bit easier than Craig Petty's, but the advantage with Craig Petty's is that it uses bicycle cards and the cost is different, which I'll address here in a second. Can I go on just a little bit negative for a second here too, is that I'm not a big fan of Card Shark. I find Card Shark customer service terrible. I have not found them at all helpful. And because of that, I just find myself not wanting to buy Card Shark releases. I purchased this in large part, I purchased it at Magic Live specifically. I had a friend who wasn't going, had said that they'd heard about this release, and I picked it up for them because out of curiosity. So that's really why I chose to get it. Let's get to sort of the most negative part of, in my opinion, on this release, is that I'll start with the nice thing. The Pete Turner addition to it is really nice. However, and I would say I love that the effect is a good effect. It's easy to perform. A beginner can perform this in no time at all, and the quality of the tutorial is good. The downside is this costs $80 US. Now, in my humble opinion, the price alone cancels out the value of this deck. You could purchase Quantum deck for $39.95, I think, currently in the United States, at half the price for essentially the same effect. So at $80 for what I got, it's a waste of money. As much as I like to perform this, and I like the ease of performance on this, it's just too expensive. And I feel like we as a community should not be supporting stuff that I just think is overpriced, and I really think this is overpriced. A Gimmick deck, most of them, even handmade, maybe $40 for what the technology is that is used on this. I felt like the tutorial was good and there was extra value with Peter Turner on it, but not $80, not an additional $40 worth of value. So because of that, I'm not going to recommend it because of price. Effect's great, tutorial's great, but it's not worth $80. It should be half that price in my humble opinion. And for me, from a controversial point of view, I'm sort of fine with the ad copy being somewhat vague, but the effect is good, but the cost is terrible. All right, I could keep repeating myself, but I'm not. That is the main takeaway here, and I don't think it should be supported. In addition, if you have any problems, I find Card Shark challenging to deal with. Wish it was different, but I find their customer service not that good. All right. I think that's all I have to say about this. deck. I could talk about who's going to like this. I think card magicians will like this. If you like 8 cans, you'll like this, but you have to deal with an $80 price tag. If you already have an 8 can that you do, you don't need to add another 8 can and waste another $80. All right, that's it. If you purchase this, let me know what your thoughts are on it. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What's your perspective? If you have an 8 can you do, let me know what your favorite 8 can is down in the comments. And also just leave me a comment to say hello. Always appreciate that. Also make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you have not yet done so. I'm FiddlinJonny, and remember to keep fiddling around with your magic. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.